You don't actually need many ingredients to do samosa, so for now I'm going to be using one very little pinch of salt to 1 cup of flour, a pinch of salt, let's say half teaspoon, if that makes sense. Then you put inside your flour and sieve it together, and then I will now add a teaspoon of sugar. Now sugar is actually optional, it's not a must. You must add it to your samosa or spring roll wrap, so we are just doing the wrap, so it's not a must. I must add sugar, but I want to add sugar, so sugar is not a necessary ingredient. And then after that you add water, and then you mold until it forms a very firm soft dough. The next thing you do is to put inside your nylon and have it be and cover it for 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, you uncover it and remove it from the nylon. Then you cut it into tiny bits. This depends on your pot size, so you cut it into tiny bits like this. The next thing you're going to do is sprinkle a little flour on your rolling pin and also on your board, and then you take out each of them and flatten them a little bit with your rolling pin, not so much but just a little round. You just flatten it a little round, just a little bit, don't overstretch it, because you will still flatten it again towards the end. This is what your flatten dough, this is the size. It should not be big, small like this. This is what it should be like. It should not be big, just small, and just do that to each and every one of them. The next thing you're going to do is to get your vegetable oil and then a small paintbrush, this very small paintbrush. You need to use the vegetable oil to spread on each and every one of them. That's the function, so that when you put it on top it will not stick to each other. So let's put it on each of them. The function of this is that once we are done, we're going to place each and all of them on each other, so we need to really oil the surface of them. Then we're going to sprinkle some flour on them to further help it not to stick when we place them on each other. You need to use a sieve to achieve this. After sieving your flour, you now brush the flour on each of them. You just brush it around, because when you take it off, the flour wants to pour, so you brush it on top, and then take each and every one of them and place on each other. You just take it, brush with your palms, and then place it, all of them, on each other. Okay, so this is what it should look like. Right now I'm trying to make sure they are equal together, like they are all on the same width and length. That's what I'm trying to do right now. That's what you should do. Then you grab your rolling pin and then you're going to roll out everything into a round shape equally. Say round, circle, I don't know which one, but this is how you're actually meant to roll it out equally on all sides. That's why we put the oil and the flour in between, because once you roll it, if you didn't put the oil and the flour, it's going to stick and you won't be able to, when you're done, you won't be able to remove them. Roll it out very, very, very well until very flat. The next thing you're going to do is to grab your pot cover or your fry pan cover to know the measurement for your pot, because you need it to enter into your pot. So I'm going to use my pot cover. This is the size of my pot. Use this to know the size of the flattened samosa and spring roll dough you are putting in. So you use this or your pizza cutter, your knife, to cut it, the excesses out. You will have to reuse these excesses, mold it back into a dough and flatten it and use it again for your samosa wrap or spring roll wrap. This is what it should look like when you're done. Then you put your pot on fire just like that without anything inside. Put your pot on the lowest heat possible, very, very low heat, very, very low. Let your pot heat up and start feeling hot, such that when you put your palm you feel it is hot. And then after that, you now place in your samosa and spring roll wrap dough. Then you would leave it a little bit for it to get hot. As long as your flame is low, very, 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 very low, it will not burn. So once you feel that it is hot, you can turn it around. Once you feel that the bottom is dry, you turn it around. Once you feel it is a bit dry, you turn it around. You turn it around like this. You touch the bottom to see how dry it is, then you turn it around and place it back inside the pot. So I'm checking the sides whether it is dry enough for me to pull it out. This is what you should do. This is what will make you know if your samosa wrap is ready. So you just check the sides so that if it is dry, then you know you can pull it out. If it's not dry, you will find it difficult to pull it out. So that's what I am doing. You might have to turn it around upside down again and again. Now it is dry and you can see that it is finally easy to come off easily. The first layer is coming off easily, but you have to be very careful, very, very careful when you are pulling this out. Very, very careful, very, very careful. This is what your samosa wrap should look like, dry and ready. Then I'm going to turn it around again, and you can see these sides are actually dry because you can see a little brown stains on it. So it's actually very hot, so you have to be very careful. I must warn you, it is hot when removing. Like I'm struggling here. I want you to see so that you know how hot it is. So when you do that, this is what it looks like. When it's remaining just 2 or 3 like this, what you do is transfer it to your workstation and remove it slowly. Put your samosa or spring roll wraps on a towel or a handkerchief so that it prevents it from getting dry. That's what you need to do. Be careful when you're removing it. I'm trying to be careful here. This is what your samosa or spring roll wrap should look like. Very thin, This can also be used for shawarma as well. It is thin, it is soft, you can see, very playful. This is what you need your samosa wrap to look like. I'll be very happy if you can actually try this recipe tomorrow. All you need is just a cup of flour and a pinch of salt and just vegetable oil. That's all. You can just try this. You can even start with half cup of flour and see if you can get this. Once you can get this is really nice. You can use it for so many things apart from spring rolls and samosas. You can use it to put sauces inside, or just use it for something really nice. It's really nice, and really make sure you see how light it looks and fine it looks. Like I said, you should cover it so that it doesn't get dry and difficult to form when you need it, because it actually will get dry. So you need to cover it with towel or handkerchief until when you are ready to use your wraps. You can now also cut them to save them into squares so that these edges will not be will not look somehow, and you can easily wrap your samosas and your spring roll with it. This is what I'm doing right now. This is what it should look like at the end of the day. Really, I would be happy if you watching can actually try this. I will really be happy you try it, you take a picture, you send it to me. Let me see what you've done. Let me bring it closer for you to see. Okay, this is what it should look like at the end of the day. So do try this recipe. This one is the easiest of all that we have been learning so far. So if you can try this particular one and let me see.